Okay, Fiero, notchback, cell panel replacement. How is that done? I guess I should mention too, when you remove this, it's probably easier to get this lower piece of plastic out of the way, because this is actually supposed to go underneath it. But since I don't have this 100% put back together, but I'm in and out of this thing, I know, probably a few more times to finish this up, so I'll just leave it the way it is for now. So normally this will be underneath here. You can try to pull it to get out of here, but the best thing to do is just remove these screws and pull that out of the way. So this is the first thing right here that you probably want to remove to make your life a lot easier. Okay, so there's really only a couple screws holding this inside door panel, interior panel thing in the way. There's one screw here. Mine's missing. It's missing on the other side too. And then there's just a screw that is holding your headrest on. Now that's a special Torx bit. We're gonna get to that in a second. That's actually not too difficult. What you don't wanna do is be this guy. And if you're gonna replace the speaker back here, you need to take this inner panel out. Don't pry off the panel and literally the speaker was like this, and it was screwed on from the outside with screws on the outside. So, So the speaker grill, I might be able to repair it. I've already fixed that side. It's already much better than how that was. That other side was the same way. But anyways, we're getting off track. Don't do that. Don't do this. So to get to the access, just pull on this little cover. There's a little silly cover on this thing. It's never easy to get off. I'm gonna pry it off with two hands. I don't wanna break it. All right, so to get this out, you need a special bit. You need a Torx bit. I have some torque bits that I got in a set from Harbor Freight. I believe these are security ones because there's a hole in the middle, but it doesn't matter. This is T50. If you are a jackwagon and you try to get a screwdriver to work in here, good luck with that, because this is a seat belt. This should have some kind of pretty good Loctite holding it on originally. Well, it looks like this has already been replaced. But T50, the right size. It's pretty easy to get these socket adapter things. Torx 50. Okay, now that's off. This was pushed in like it was, there's a hook on it, and it was pushed all the way in, and I was trying to pull this back and it didn't work. But now that I have that end pulled out, now I can get this dang thing out. That's out. There we go. Alright. Okay, seat belts. There's these little clips back here that hold this plastic together. That one's off. That one's off. There we go. Aha! Now that's out. Okay, now I can get to the bolt that's holding the cell panel on. 2 screws, bottom screw, upper screw. Upper screw is where you want to be. Stick your big fat head in here because it's actually up here pretty high. So it's much higher than the screw hole, so you need to go up at a diagonal angle. It's a 7/16, I believe, because that's what fits. 7/16 nut. I got a long socket and an extension. There. Okay, now I'm on it. Okay, so now I'm on it. Let's try to loosen it. Wrong way. There it goes. So it's not very strong. It's just a piece of metal attached to a piece of plastic on the other side. So it shouldn't take that much to get it off. And if you drop the screw, you should be able to get it out of the bottom of the, what is this, a B pillar? Oh, I just dropped it. But yeah, I should be able to get it out of there. Still broke that little clip off. And that one came off too, but this frame was already broken. Okay, here's how to remove that cell panel according to the shop. So yeah, it's just 4 steps. So everything I just did, remove the hex nut, and this part is the weird part. It says grab that panel, pull it outboard, so pull it towards you. Do not pull more than 1 inch while sliding it rearward, so backwards, to trying to dislodge that spring. What is that talking about? So this is what it looks like removed. There is this. So this is on a big long spring here. So that's what it's talking about. But the problem I had with both sides of these is these clips in the back. Tried removing it with a pry bar, a nylon pry bar for body, and that didn't come off the way it was supposed to. And the problem is, out of all these, there's only one that's still functional. So see when they push in, it goes in and it will clip. So you can't really just pull on the other side without breaking these off. All right, so it's a gorgeous day outside right now. Apologize for the noise in the background because I had to get my Jeep running. It's been, a couple months since I've had that running, and I finally got it started. So I'm not going to turn it off till it warms up. What I wanted to show was, let's say you wanted to keep your cell panel, take it off without breaking it like I did and just about everybody else does because they're cracked and broken and it doesn't really matter. But let's say you have a good cell panel and you wanted to get it off. GM in their shop manual does not tell you how to get this back clip out. So I did find something on an old forum. I think it was actually on one of the places that sells cell panels, and there was some information on how to get it off. So what they suggested to do was use some piano wire or something like that. This is mechanics wire. So let's say it's attached to the car still. This clip is fully engaged. You have to imagine it's clipped below here because this is spring loaded. See, it goes right. And it's hard to describe. So that's spring loaded. So what you need to do is get this, get some mechanics wire, and that way you can just reach around in here, do something like whoop, and then reach around. And then if you can slide that down and pull it, it would do something like that. Now that's hard to, do in the real world, but I think that would actually do it. Yeah, you just pull it down. Yeah, I think that would actually work. So that is what you would do if this is still on the car and you want to get these clips off without breaking it. So I want to show you that before you do something like I did and destroy all your clips like that one. And there is one more option available that I just noticed. Hey, if you break that clip off, let's say you just want to be lazy and break that clip off and you don't care, it's only $5 to buy a new one. So that's the other option. You can just break both those clips off and reuse your stock cell panel just fine. Okay, so this is how I'm going to install the repo modified cell panel because they don't make the original ones. So basically 1 piece of tape all the way on the back, 1 piece of tape on the top here, 2 pieces of tape here, 3 pieces of tape there. Now I'm doing that because it gets fatter along this ridge. So it's much thicker here than it is on this side. So I pretty much did the same thing on the other side. This side I'm being a little more careful, and except for the removal part, but the rest of it I'm being more careful. So this should go on really well, I believe. Right now. So it still does that, but the original did that. It wasn't on there super tight. There we go. So that looks better. Yes. So unfortunately, the one thing that I forgot to get on video was the reinstallation of the inside trim. But it's actually super simple. It just basically snaps right in. One thing I want to make sure I point out is try and get the correct clips for these things. They are only 50 cents to get the correct clips for these things. So it's so much better than getting those dumb generic GM ones. I kind of went off on this in my other video about installing the door glass. So you can go watch that if you're really going to watch me rant about that for a second. But hey, get the right clips. Once you have the right clip, replace it, and it will actually go in there nice and straight and not go in crooked. And then you just basically, you can tell when you're looking at it how it just lines up, and you just push the thing forward. Now, usually these clips are only one-time use, so that's why they're so cheap. Just buy a whole bunch of them, and then don't worry about it ever again. So then once it's back in, you just need to put your seatbelt back on. And that's really about it. You probably want to put some blue Loctite on here, but I'm not going to because I'll be in here again, and I drive this car all the time, so I'll notice if this thing's coming loose on me. But for if you're done with it and not in here again, yeah, you probably want to put some blue Loctite on it. All right, so that's back together. Snap that on. Okay, and then it's done. So you may notice that I got the speaker grill back on here. I actually had to repair that, and I'll show you a couple pictures here of how I repaired it. Just basically super glued it in a couple places that still had the studs, because it's a one-time only insertion. How this thing works, it just basically has a couple long studs. They push through the plastic and then they melt it all together. So it's not serviceable, really. They don't even make these covers. So I had to use some mechanics wire and some creative sewing, essentially, to get this cover on. And it doesn't have the right speaker underneath it. It's not in the right housing. These are not things that I did. So someone broke this panel, someone took this cover, tore it off to put a speaker in here, is how all that happened. Don't do that. So that's the main parts of getting to the speaker or removing your cell panel.
In the Fiero, I only got 2 seats. In the Fiero.